putting the record. Okay, recording in progress. So for those who are watching the recording, welcome. This is Stacy Johnson, and this session is designed to help you workshop style get your word of the year. And so I recommend a piece of paper because we're going to do some exercises, and then we'll go from there. So the first thing I wanted to just show you is I had Travis, well, I had all the boys do this, but this is how Travis he combined his visions and his words for the year. So we did this is last year's, this year's picture, he wasn't really excited to share it, but it was cool. It was, he ended up making it look like a penguin. So he cut it out and made it look like a penguin, but, so it was super cute, but he said it was not for public consumption. But I wanted to point out what happened for him last year was when we went through all of the different exercises, he found like the word healing was coming up, or heal. And that's not a normal word for a 12, 13-year-old. And I think it's just because of all the reflection that was happening. So it made me realize, wow, this is a process. And so I actually wrote down, I was just sort of making stuff up to keep the kids engaged, because otherwise, like, they stand up and walk away and they're back doing something else. But then I realized, wait a minute, this is a process. So we followed the same process last year. So I have my notes. And so basically the history of it was, what if what you say is what you'll see? I don't know if ever any of you have heard of it's Terry Savoy, something like that. She's actually a Christian speaker. And she says, what you say is what you will see. And so I started really thinking about words at that time. And that's kind of the genesis of this. And so let me advance my slide. So here are the steps we're going to follow. So we're going to open with reflection, and then we'll do this visualization exercise, very similar for those of you who attended the vision strategy workshop. And then we'll do a brainstorming, refine, and then at the end, you should be able to commit to a word, or at least have a pretty good idea. Last year, what happened to me is I had 3 that I really just couldn't decide on. And so I would use them for different seasons. Like some weeks and months, I focused on one more than the other. I'll say more about that. Okay, so the first step is sort of an introspection. And so I'm going to set a little timer, and we're going to have some nice awkward, pausing while we're doing this. But I'm going to talk a little bit, and then I'm going to set the timer and just kind of sit quietly and let you all think without my jabbering. And so in this part, you are thinking about, what do you want more of? What do you want less of? And what do you want to feel? And so let me tell you how that worked for me, and then I'll repeat the questions and set a timer. So for me, I was realizing, wow, I need more, just tactically, more money, right? Because I want to do more fun things. I want more time with important people. And last year it was more time with people. This year I decided it was more time with important people. The distinguish was that I need to be checking myself, that I'm not just busying myself with relationships, and that I'm really investing in the ones that matter. And that actually was part of the genesis for these monthly calls, right? Is this investing in our community is important to me. So that's kind of a neat little turnaround. So I needed more money, more time with important people, more patience. I needed less work, stress, and guilt. And interestingly, last year, it was less COVID. And then how I wanted to feel, I wanted to feel like I'm having my best life, happy, energetic, purposeful, fulfilled. And so that's kind of how I started. And you can see how some of the language that I'm using could turn into a word, right? You see how that goes. So now I'm going to set a timer for 1 minute, and just, I'm going to press start. So you're thinking about and writing down, what do you want more of? What do you want less of? And what do you want to feel? Okay, now we're going to move into the visualization where you now have probably what happened also when you were doing the reflection is, pictures, things, maybe words, people, stuff is popping in your brain. But you're not necessarily like, it's sort of like watching a high-speed movie. You're not necessarily seeing all the layers of it. So what I want you to do now is just kind of just ask yourself, what word do you want to focus on, and see, did something pop up? So if I were sitting across from you or drinking coffee and I said, what word do you want to focus on? Did one pop in your mind? And I think Amber, you were already kind of getting to where you thought you had one. It should come up, right? And so did you immediately think of one? Then write that down. And one of the things that I do is sort of meditate over it for a few days. We're gonna drive to try to get an answer by the end of this call, but then you'll revisit it, right? Just think about it tomorrow. Does it still feel right? And I'm going to ask some commitment questions at the end. So I'm going to just ask one more time and then write it down if it came to mind. So if I asked you right now, like gun to head, got to make a decision, what word came to mind for this year? Boom, write that down. So for Travis, that's how he came up with that, healing and heart and beautiful. And this year they were different words. Okay, so now we're going to do a brainstorming, structured, a little bit of a brainstorming. Hold on one second. Get my notes. Okay. So we're going to do 2 minutes. That's why I needed to see. I timed this out to see, make sure we had enough time to get through all the little steps. And it should feel rather repetitive and almost kind of like not novel, because it isn't really that novel. It's just actually doing it, right? We say that, oh yeah, I meditate, but we don't stop. Oh yeah, I set goals, but we don't write anything down, right? So this is forcing pen to paper. So you've got your paper, you already should have some jumbled up. So like on my list, I have the reflect, the visualize, and then in the middle, I know it's blurry, I have all these words. So right now, what you're going to do is just write down every word that comes to mind. That's just popping in your head, right? It should be sort of like, like pickles doesn't come up unless you're hungry, right? It should be kind of related to the germane topic here, which is what you want to manifest your life into being. And I know, Brenda, we were talking earlier and you're like, I'm ready to thrive. So obviously that should show up on your list. That might even be your word. This is the rigor that we're putting in to try to figure that out. And then also, just as you're brainstorming in the 2-minute timer, you're going to look back at your notes on what did you want more of and what did you want less of and how you want to feel. If you think of a project, right? We are the project. When we're solving the project, we always have to go back to the objectives. So the objective is what you want more of, less of, and how you want to feel. So if the words don't align to it, it's not the right word. So we're going to draw from it some inspiration. And so I'm going to put up this slide, which has lots of different words on it. And I'm going to set a 2-minute timer and I'm going to read the words slowly so that you're like, oh, I kind of like that one. And what Travis and I did, he just takes these personal development things more seriously than the other boys. That's why he gets featured in the stories. But he was trying to find like online quizzes and, Google searching cool words. And the word he came up with, I had to look it up because I'd never heard of it, like it was good, right? So this process should just come up with new words. So I'm going to set the timer and then just read through these. And then you should have your objective statement, right? What you want more of, less of, and what you want to manifest into the world for yourself, your project. And then as I say them, if you resonate, put them down, because then we're going to use a refinement process to see if the words you already had from the reflection and visualization, do you just keep coming back to that? Sort of like when you look at a menu in a restaurant, right? Roast beef sandwich catches your eye, but then you're like, oh, I kind of want the salmon. Oh, but the roast beef sandwich, right? Whatever, you keep coming back to it. If you keep doing that with your word, that's the right word. Okay, so 2-minute timer set. So some of the words that I have either used or seen used for this kind of thing before: focus, amplify, present, vision, relentless, inspire, manifest, exponential, present, embrace, balance, empower, big, grow, energy, growth, legendary. That was one of Travis's. Unhinged. That was one of Travis's. Limitless, hustle, excellence, abundance, delight, improve, respect, accept, acceptance, adventure, effect, affluence, alert, align, alignment, determination, infinity, depth, influence, rest, rich, determined, innovation, satiating, boss, bounce, boundaries, boundless, brave, breathe, flow, fly, focus, force, forgive, forgiveness, mindful, mindset, minimize, monetize, money, teach, tempest, thoughtful, thrill, thrilling, thrive, today. Self-care, satisfy, self-love, self-worth, selfish, service, share, simplicity, simplify, slow, smile, soar, soul, soulful, space, leadership, leader, lead, laugh, kindness, joy, invest, intuition, intimacy, intention, intentional, intent, integrity, enhance, engage, enjoy. So I didn't get through reading them all, but do you have enough in a brainstorm list? I see Brenda, I see Leila. Amber, need more time or you've got quite a list. So I think I had about 20 and that was good for me, but you could have more or less. Yes? Okay. So now the next thing we're going to do is refine. So you have your list. And so this little exercise now is where you just start to kind of hone. So look at the list, which one is jumping out to you? The ones that are kind of really popping, circle the ones like now you're kind of going through a prioritization. So let's say you have 20 words, just read them in your head, like which ones really popped, like, oh yeah, I really can't decide between these, right? Circle those ones. And then you're going to read them one by one, in your head. Obviously we would do it online, but you could do it out loud. Just mute yourself and do it out loud if that helps. And then that list, you should be able to get it down. So for mine, when I had my words, I had focus, amplify, abundance, vision, relentless, inspire, manifest, exponential, present, embrace, balance, empower, big, grow, energy, growth, legendary, unhinged, limitless, hustle, and excellence. And then I was like, man, abundance, that's what I really need. And then I was like, and I need growth and I need amplification. And so then I kind of sat with those and was like, actually, in order to get some of this stuff, I got to hustle. So I circled hustle. So now I had 4 circled. And then I realized that was last year. And then this year it was like, these are kind of the same because I'm in a place where I'm like fine tuning. I've kind of grown into a place of fine tuning. But when I first did this, they were way different every year because I was doing leaps and bounds of growth for my own self. Now I wanted more of the same, right? When I think of what did I want more of, what did I want less of, and how do I want to feel, and what did I want to manifest into the world? I felt like 2022 served me very well. So I was kind of sticking with that notion. So now go back over it and say like, okay, these are my top 4. Well, when I did that, and then I asked the question, so now you have the list of words, go back over and ask, are you interested or committed to, and then read the word. So I had my words, are you interested and committed to amplifying? Yeah, right? Are you interested or committed to abundance? Yes. And when I did this exercise, what was interesting for me is what came up for me was the abundance, amplify, and hustle just kind of seemed to rise to the top. But then I realized what I was missing kept popping in my head: purpose, 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 purpose. And that wasn't on my list. I was like, that's weird. This word is my word and it's not even on my list. So I wrote it down. And then I kind of did the thing again. Am I interested and committed to? And I went, I want to be purposeful and purpose filled. And then I landed. I was like, that's it. That's the word. That is what I need to do. And so what I'm hoping will happen to you is when you look at your, big list of say 15, 10, 20, whatever it is, those ones that pop out for you, circle them. And now ask yourself that question. Am I interested or committed to fill in the blank? So, Amber, what was your one again? Was it Thrive? What was yours? I can't remember.
I had one that wasn't on your list that I've been
Okay.
thinking about for days.
Yeah. What is it?
Rebuild.
Rebuild. Oh, that's perfect for where I know you are, right? So
Yeah.
now you ask yourself, am I interested or committed to rebuilding? Obviously, rebuild needs to be ing, right? Am I interested or committed to rebuilding? And as an outside observer, I say, yeah, that's kind of what you're doing for sure.
Yeah.
And it should really resonate. And then you're like, no, this word has been on my mind since I knew I was looking for a word. And now it tests with this. That's probably the word. And then ask yourself for the next couple of days, like when you wake up in the morning, ask like, am I interested and committed to rebuilding? And it should be like, dude, this is it. This is what I'm doing. And then Brenda, similarly, are you interested or committed to thriving? Like, I don't know if that's where you landed after this exercise, but I know it's got to be pretty close to, that's not where you landed. What did you land on?
Nope. So 2 words still come to mind, and it's structure and action. I think that's a missing piece.
In order to thrive, you need structure.
In order to thrive, there has to be a level of organization and corresponding action.
Yeah, that's good. And it should also test back to what you need more of, right? Whatever that was, it needed
energy.
Action. Yep. That's good. Layla, anything coming up for you?
One thing I've been thinking about is alignment and acceptance. Those are a couple of things that keep coming to mind.
So are you interested or committed to align or to be in alignment? Are you interested or committed to be accepting or be in acceptance of, and then your picture of all the visualization? Yeah, it's good. It's good. And then I'll just show you how this was my last year. So I was trying to make big jumps in a couple areas. And I realized kind of like your conclusion, Brenda, about needing the structure and action, like I needed to hustle. That was basically some of the things I had been telling myself that I was setting this goal and then I would just not get to it. That was because I wasn't doing the things, right? Like I can't get to the goal if I don't do anything that relates to the goal. And so I said I had to hustle. And then I really wanted to amplify my presence in certain circles. So I needed to hustle to amplify. And then my thought, similar to your thrive, right? Hustle plus amplify was going to lead to the abundance, which is really what I wanted. I wanted more of all of it because I felt like I was on a trajectory of success financially, success emotionally, success in my relationships, and success in my impact in places like the health and wellness arena where I want to make a big impact. And so that's kind of how I landed. This was 2022. And so now this year, I'm in a little bit of a pivot in that all of that is still going great. And I just want more. Hustle plus amplify equals abundance. But I ended up going on with purpose. And that's because I also have this like nag of Daniel being 17 and he's going to be, you know this, Brenda, he's going to be an adult. And so I need to be very purposeful about the time that I have left with him as a not adult, and also purpose-filled to hustle, amplify for abundance, right? Now I have to find this balance. And so that's why purpose came up as the top, but they all kind of went hand in hand. And I've been wrestling with that for a few days, weeks, and just it keeps coming up when I think about it. Like, because this comes up, it just comes up. People talk about words, or the word comes up on like, I got my word. And then in the morning when my alarm goes off and I snooze the first time, then I say, okay, you have 10 minutes before you get up and live a purpose-filled, purposeful, amazing day, right? And so that's because if I go back to my question, are you interested in or committed to, right? So every day I'm renewing my commitment. And as we started out, what you say is what you see, and what you say is what you'll manifest. So if you keep repeating it, you can sort of will it into existence. And I also write it on physical paper and put it around places. So that's one of the things that was a build. So I have like little goals papers on my desk. And so I have purposeful, purpose filled on the paper, and then I look at it. So now I'm speaking it in the morning out loud to the universe, right? And then I am reading it. I sit here, this is probably the scene most of you see me in, right? In my desk chair most of the day. So I have the pieces of paper in front of me. If you were a commuter, maybe you put it on your steering wheel on a Post-it, or put on Rich puts it on his mirror. Travis has it straight in his closet. So does Cooper and Daniel, so that when they walk in their closet to get dressed and undressed every day, it's right there. Oh, Daniel actually has his on his mirror in his bathroom, which I think is really amazing, because his bathroom is the bathroom that all of the people who visit the house, which there's kids, adults, workers, go in and out, but that's the bathroom everybody looks at. And his are right there with all his goals and visions. It's pretty bold for a teenager, to be honest with you, because it's an easy one to harass, like, oh, you got to work, right? But he has it there because he wants to manifest it into reality. So yeah, so I'm excited that it landed. Was this helpful?
Yes.
Good. Awesome.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So let me pause our recording.